everybody. We are going to start this and we are going to work and build up a flow. And we are going to just keep it going until we are done. It's not going to be long. It's 4:15 now, 20-minute episode, and we will be good to go. So I want to welcome you to the Camnon Business Podcast. This is episode 3, I think, or episode 2. In any case, I'm just starting this out, being consistent with it, and I'm making sure that every week we come to you giving you more insight that can be beneficial for new entrepreneurs and small businesses, specifically from a bookkeeping perspective, managing your finances for your business perspective, keeping the lifeblood going. If you don't have no income and no revenue coming in, then you might be suffering a little bit. But that's a problem, and we are solution providers to problems. So that's what Camnon Business Services is all about. Visit the website, camnonservices.com. Check out what we're offering there, and let's set up some time so that we can actually talk. Also, this is live on YouTube and several other platforms as well. We got iHeartRadio, we got Podbean podcasting service, we got Spotify. Please like, subscribe, share. YouTube, did I say YouTube? Like, subscribe, share, let people know, help me spread the word. Okay, I have something that I know is of value and of service to new entrepreneurs and small business owners, and I just need to get it out there. So it's on me to be consistent and shout it from the mountaintops. So if you hear it, pass it on. Thank you for that. Now, today, pardon me, I was sick last week, and I think I'm back to 95%. I'm so glad that I feel so much better than I did last week. Thank you, God. But 95% is good. We're going to continue to get better, and I'm going to work through this episode right now. So we're going to focus on one of the main pitfalls that plagues, I was going to say new businesses, but any small business, even large businesses, big corporations also struggle with cash flow and cash flow management. And I want to specifically focus on the effects and the solutions to negative cash flow. What's negative cash flow? Negative cash flow. In any given period, right? Any day, any week, any month, any quarter, you have money coming in and you have money going out. And if you happen to have, for that period of time, more going out than you have coming in, that is negative cash flow. It sounds so simple, right? I'm simplifying it like that because of how common it is. Everybody, every business, doesn't matter if it's Fortune 100 corporations, doesn't matter if it's, Aunt Gigi's house, at some point, there's going to be a cash crunch. There's going to be something that comes up where it just so happens that more money was expected to go out than was coming in, whether you expected it to come in or not. Just happens that way. It is common. It happens to all businesses. Don't sweat it that it happened. Just realize it's a valid part of business cycles that has to be addressed and handled, just like any other important part of a business cycle. All right. So negative cash flow occurs when businesses spend more than it makes within a given period. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Some of the things that cause negative cash flow, first on the list, is just low profits. You didn't make enough. You might have projected to make a certain amount. You should have projections in place. You should have forecasting in place. So if you didn't put those things in place and you came up short, simple solution, start forecasting. Start looking ahead so that you can plan, know your numbers, and know where your money is supposed to go so you don't end up wondering where your money went. That's very important. But whether you have poor sales and marketing strategy, whether you are not really proficient in your systems that you have in place for how your operations is supposed to run, or whether the cost of operations, cost of goods and services, cost of production, whether you're just paying too much to run your business and to operate. Those are things that could impact your bottom line. And at the end of whatever the given period is, you'll find that, oh, we didn't make enough profit. You have to look at what those reasons are and begin to make the proper moves. Over investing. Whenever your business pays for software or equipment or the things that you need in order to make your business run, that's classified as investing. Okay. And it is possible for you to sit and look and figure out that, okay, well, instead of buying this simple box truck, I tried to buy the big, Mercedes Sprinter van, and whatever the case may be, whatever your business is, you have to look at the cost of what it takes to run your business. And it doesn't necessarily always make sense to just jump out there and create an expense that could be more than you are actually able to handle at that time. So again, forecasting, looking ahead, planning based on actual facts and numbers could do you a world of good and help you to, if not avoid that situation, at least that's the way that you get yourself out of that situation. Okay. Another cause is expedited growth. Okay. When you grow, there is a such thing as growing too fast. Okay. You can be taking on new hires. You can just be uncoordinated in how you're tracking and how you're making sure to project and forecast. I keep saying forecast. There's a methodology that is vital to how you run your business, and you can't wing it in business. You have to know the actual facts. You have to know your numbers. So making sure that you're tracking so you know what has occurred, and you're able to know what's expected, and then make decisions based on that full picture. That goes a long way in making sure that you're not growing too fast. You're not making moves that you really aren't ready to make when the time comes. But sometimes people take on too much staff. That I've heard stories of people who got to the point where they realized, oh man, we have to let some people go. That's the reality. I can recall one time, this is back when President Obama just came into office and President Bush was just going out. If you remember what life was like back in 2007, 2008, things were kind of bad. And there was a news show where President Obama was being interviewed. And I never forgot this. He said, businesses can't afford to make payroll. We have to get credit flowing again. That, I don't know if that went over the average person's head, but for me, if a business can't afford to make payroll, that's pointing to a whole host of problems. If they can't afford to make payroll without using a credit card, that's just like you or me or any household saying, well, we can't keep the lights on unless we put it on a credit card. We really can't get groceries unless we put it on a credit card. And reality is, I think, over half of households in America are basically living paycheck to paycheck. So they're making it not by making ends meet. They're making it by floating checks, by using credit. So that's a reality. That's a big threat and a big hazard for new and small businesses. Matter of fact, over half of the businesses that are formed today won't be here 3 or 5 years from now. And one of the biggest factors is cash flow management. They don't have enough operating capital. And in many instances, they start the business underfunded. So being able to plan and plan properly is a major way to avoid this aspect of this contributing factor to negative cash flow, or to avoid it and solve the problem if that's the situation you find yourself in. There's always some kind of unexpected thing that comes up in business and life. There's going to be something unexpected. So if there's an expense that can occur, there's going to be some unexpected expense. You have to plan for that. Yeah, even though it's unexpected, but there are ways that you can actually position yourself and make sure that you are addressing a problem before the problem comes up. You know how they say you got to get ready. What is it? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Okay. But if you have been paying attention to the Come Learn With Me series or the reading list, I referred to The Richest Man in Babylon a lot. Hint, hint. That's some good stuff there, but it's very sound principles on preparing ahead of time and making sure that before you do anything, you put the reserves in place so that when it's time to make a move, you have what's needed to make a move. Or if an emergency or something comes up, you have what's needed to address that emergency. Don't find yourself in a position where unexpected financial expenses sinks your battleship. An expensive overhead cost. Overhead can account for ongoing expenses that aren't really related to production or sales, but it's just the things that come along with being in business. You got to keep the doors open. Sometimes these can be fixed expenses like rent, utilities, legal fees or insurance, but they may have they could also go up. They could also jump up at a certain time. Insurance premiums, which you don't control, they could rise at any point. You can have a legal issue and maybe you thought it was going to be this much or it's that much. Or you didn't think you would have a legal issue, but you have to have legal services in place. And now it's time for those services to kick in and bam, there you go, another expense. Advertising. Sometimes if you know the role of marketing on social media, the Facebook tax, the what it costs to run ads on social media, that price and the terms of advertising on social media can change at any moment. And there's nothing that any business owner can do but pay the piper. So planning ahead, looking out or being aware of those at least will allow you to be able to solve that problem. Of course, if you have clients that you're depending on to make payments on time so that you can take care of your obligations on time, that's another pitfall right there. You can have past due customer payments. You can have the best accounts receivable team in place, but where the rubber meets the road is you're dependent on that income in order to be able to say that, hey, we are in the black this week or this month, and this reporting period, we know that what was expected to come in is there. But you always have to be mindful that you can, and more likely than not will, run into customers or clients that miss a payment, don't pay, stop paying, and somehow you have to jump through hoops or do whatever process you have to enact to end up getting your money. And if it doesn't come this month when it was supposed to come, you just got to bear the cost of operations that say, hey, let's go and get that money that's supposed to be in here. It's just something that happens. But again, all these factors that I've named so far are common from new startups to Fortune 500 companies. They have quarters where earnings reports say that they missed the mark and they earned less than what they projected. But they projected and they always have plans so that they don't stay in that category, in that role, because being in a negative cash flow position for too long is the death of businesses, and that's not what you want. So sometimes you don't have your pricing right, and that could also impact whether or not you're profitable. There are times in the cycle where prices need to increase. There are times where you can bear a reduction in prices. But if you don't know what that cycle is like, or for some reason you're resistant to making a move when you have to make a move, that could be a number one contributing factor to why you have a negative cash flow. Here's another one. All of this can be summed up really in just poor financial management, poor financial planning. I did a statistic last week. I think it was more than half. No. It was almost half. 45% of small business owners were saying that they lost out on profits. They lost out on money, more than $10,000, strictly for no other reason than poor financial planning, lack of financial literacy. You pay for what you don't know. So the ultimate solution is strategizing, taking a look at actual facts and knowing your numbers so that you can make the appropriate move when it's time to make the appropriate move. The negative cash flow can cause you to have stunted growth where you know you'll need to make moves, but you just can't make the moves when the time comes. That's missed opportunities right there. And in many instances, it can be avoided. Proper planning. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's get to some of the solutions, right? Easy solutions, they're simple. Like I said, they all basically fall under financial literacy, learning to deal with the actual facts of your numbers, the numbers of your business, so that you can make the appropriate moves. You want to be mindful of your spending, stay on top of cash flow management. You want to know ahead of time what's expected to come in, where it stands, and what's going out, where that stands, and what kind of leeway you have. Is everything due on receipt, or do you have net 30 and next 60 payment terms in place? What do you have working in your favor and what do you have working against you? You, as a business owner, you want to be mindful of that. You want to regularly create the cash flow statement and do your forecasting. You can't get around that. Okay, no business owner wants to be sitting there just crunching numbers or looking at reports and sheets, but you at least have to know, get that done for you, get a good bookkeeping service that will take care of that part of the work for you. And then you can have planning and strategizing sessions where you take that data, you take those numbers, and you can say, okay, this is what we can do. Or if we want to do this, we have to hold off and wait until we hit the next milestone or the next mark. That's what that entails. Stay on track of expenses, stay on track of inflow and revenue generation, just like you stay on track of what goes out. And make sure you're understanding when and how much, and always be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve. You don't want to get blindsided by anything. Being blindsided in terms of what happens to the money that is coming into or going out of your business will leave you in a perpetual state of a negative cash flow. And that's certainly not what you want to do. You don't want to be blindsided too much. There's always something that should be a regular occurrence, daily occurrence. How can we cut/save? And surprisingly enough, of course, to employees, they don't know the reality that employers, for the most part, look to cut costs at their expense. But that's the reality of business. When it comes to reducing expenses, you have to be properly staffed. You have to make sure that whatever you have that is going out is as efficient as it possibly can be. And no one wants to be in a position where you have to cut your feelings for the people that have become your team, you know, the people that you depend on to make your operation and your dream live. But the survival should never have to come to a decision-making process of who can be thrown overboard. But one of the main things that you're going to have to do to make sure that your business stays afloat and stays in the positive is to constantly be looking at how you can reduce expenses. Going back to what I mentioned before, one of my favorite books, The Richest Man in Babylon, talked about creating an emergency budget to accommodate unexpected expenses. Yeah, you always have to. One of the rules of gold, the laws of gold, I think it was, is to make sure that you have an emergency. Keep insurance online. Anything can happen. You got to have something that will that you can turn to, that you can pull from if an emergency or if something critical comes up. You should always have some get out of town by sundown money. Your business needs the same. There should be an emergency budget to accommodate unexpected expenses. And that's it. That's all I have today on one of the major pitfalls and problems that small businesses and new entrepreneurs need to be aware of, which is negative cash flow. Do what you can to put yourself in the best position so that even though it's inevitable that you'll encounter that, it doesn't sink your business. It doesn't pull you under. It doesn't be the thing that does your business in. So that's all I have today. Remember, like, subscribe, and share this episode. Please spread the word. I thank you so much for rolling with me. Visit camnonservices.com. Schedule a free consultation. Let's find out where you are with your business now. What's your goal for the end of the year or for the next 12 months? And what can we do working together as a team to get you there, increase your bottom line, and save you some time, stress, energy, and money. All right. Have a good one.